Going to happen here today. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Breed. Oh, that's not what we're doing here today. Today's Sunday, isn't it? Jeez, you can see how I'm so pre-programmed. This is the Broiler Chicken Show. Buck, 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 buck. Buck. Anyway. Hello, everyone. Hey, we got a meow in here. Where's Rob? Is Rob here? He's got about 5 different animals he comes up with. But anyway, looks like the meows have checked in from back east. Actually, that would be a really funny picture, Shane. You got to put your cat on the steering wheel and maybe wearing like a Doge cap or something like that, and then do the background video of them driving down the highway. That would be hilarious. Anyway, we'll call it the Meow Reports. Anyway, TRIOGers checking in from their adventures on the road through 2020, crazy COVID. Year. If anything, probably, ironically enough, Shane left the Lower Mainland, left Vancouver. Yeah, we must be on YouTube. Yay, that's good. And pretty good timing. I don't know whether you guys have been noticing my tweets and stuff lately about the condition here in Vancouver, but oh my goodness, it's rather depressing considering how normally this little piece of the world is a little bit, we're actually very spoiled here with the environment and all that kind of stuff. But I look out my window now and I go, this is Vancouver? Oh my goodness. What the hell has happened to our world? What a great anecdote. You know, this is what I'm talking about getting China. There is no internal demand for any of these goddamn units that they're putting up here. I heard today that something like, actually, maybe I can talk with you guys about this. I think there's something like 28% of the rental market down in the States, the latest data, can't pay their rent. They're not they can pay their rent. They are not paying their rent. 20+%. I mean, these numbers are ridiculous. There is no demand for this. What the You know, I warn people in our Western society. I remember the boom-bust cycle of the initial handover of Hong Kong from the British to the Chinese back in the late 90s, and the massive economic expansion that went on. At that point, they call them the 7 tigers of Asia, because nothing in North America was really growing. I just horrendous boom-bust cycle, massive overdevelopment, completely unsustainable. And then, of course, the collapse on the other side. I remember great stories of the Koreans running into the streets, throwing their silverware in the streets, trying to drum up any kind of capital at all to try and defend their currencies, because the currencies went into free fall. Oh, by the way, there is a pretty big currency squeeze about to happen in the world with a lot of debt that's denominated in US dollars that's coming due. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but it's got one of these sort of massive squeeze scenarios. But here in Canada, this is crazy. It's a little bit depressing, really. And they just keep developing. These guys not stopping 1 inch. And yet I have no idea who's actually going to be buying this stuff on the other side of this. So kind of a little bit of a what have you done to my country kind of rant this morning. But with the backdrop that now the whole selling feature of coming to British Columbia was, look how beautiful our environment is and pristine and clean and stuff. And now, and actually what actually prompted me to tweet this out, we got China'd, was we have a site member, and I posted this image to him. He lives on the eastern seaboard, and I said, this is our life now on the West Coast. And he goes, holy shit, that looks just like China when I lived there. So that's what actually prompted me to go, we just got China'd. Ridiculous overdevelopment. Nobody gives a fuck about the environment. This is our new normal, I guess. Get used to it. Crazy rants aside. I mean, it's 2020 anyway, right? So 2020, oh boy, what a mess. I suppose to add insult to injury, why don't we throw a little bit of food crisis in here? I mean, any way you shape it, folks, and I don't think enough people in the public acknowledge this. What you see happening with the West Coast right now, because keep in mind, all the weather moves from west to east. I wanted to show you, I think I still have it up here, I'm not sure. Do I still have it here? Please say I still have it here. Anyway, I like to watch the clouds move across the continent to sort of get an idea of what the crop conditions are going to be like for upcoming seasons. You notice I have the corn chart on here right now. I wanted to show you that picture, but of course I can't find it when you want it. Anyway, I wanted to show the satellite image of the smoke that's coming across North America. And like I said, I mean, you look outside the window in Vancouver. It's not. We don't. Our world does not normally look like this. It's going to have far-reaching implications. I suppose if I was a little better prepared, I would have had that damn image in front of me, but I don't seem to have it in front of me, so forget that. I do find it interesting that you can see corn prices themselves from being very weak, and not really anybody even being concerned about crop conditions or supplies of food or anything like that. Fairly good growing conditions this year. Something has clearly changed in their eyes. I don't know whether it's. I get the feeling politically there's limited sort of power that the executive branch in the states can do to finesse the trade talks right now. But I think this has more to do with farmers' perceptions that maybe this current crop is okay. This is the July 2021 contract, so this is basically next peak crop, and really the last of the old stocks. Where we'll find out. I suppose the December 2021 contract, that'll be sort of like the first new crop following this year's harvest, right? So this will be the market's perception of price for the fall of 2021. Because keep in mind, all this weather shit that's going across the west. Damn, can somebody find me that satellite image thing that I've been sharing in the lounge, just to show the people on YouTube how dramatic this is? I know I posted in the lounge somewhere up here. I got to tell you, folks, I mean, this is real. This is going to affect our weather going forward. And the one thing that people are just not expecting. Now, I haven't heard anybody talk about price, food scarcity, food inflation, any kind of worries about the actual supply of food in the world. I haven't, through this whole COVID crisis, really not even said boo. Ironically enough, I think you could probably make the argument that there are people that are putting things in place to create things like 3D printed food. Wonderful. I was tweeting crap out like that recently. And conspiracy 1%, Jeff Bezos going to take over food supply. All that kind of stuff. I suppose it could be out there. Damn, I can't find it. Anyway, actually, you know what? I think I even tweeted it. So, oh, here you go. You guys got it? Oh, awesome. Shane's got all the links here. Copy. I hope this isn't a picture of naked ladies. Boom. Okay, so, thank you. I mean, this is clearly going to have an effect. My hunch is that you're probably going to have, rainfall numbers affected. You know, I don't think. I mean, this is a thank you for this particular image. This isn't the one that I was sending out. I mean, our whole West Coast right here. You saw that image that I tweeted out from my window. I mean, we're living in a blanket. And keep in mind, a huge chunk of sort of North America's, bread basket for things like fruits and vegetables and stuff is California. Um, Point that I'm trying to make here is I haven't heard anybody talk about food scarcity or anything like that through all this COVID. So, hey, why don't we throw in some food price inflation just to get the good people's attention? Like hell, we've got everything else all screwy here. So you can, interestingly enough, that December contract going out into next year, you can actually see that if we change this to like a weekly price chart, when we do eventually get to this December and we're looking at this as the front month, you can see that it's actually got a pretty well-defined triple bottom working there. So this is a kind of market that I don't think anybody's interested in the slightest. Nobody in the public has any concept of this kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, I am extremely interested in accumulating these kind of like December 2021 options and futures, and maybe even taking a real good look at accumulating some of the agricultural ETFs. I know there's one in Canada called Moo. But I think this might be more livestock oriented. Yeah, I bet livestock prices are probably pretty high. But anyway, so I just, seeing the weather situation and what's going on here in the West Coast, obviously I'm directly affected in it. My beautiful British Columbia, it's gone. I don't know what's gonna emerge on the other side of this. Let's hope it's calm blue oceans. It's interesting too how we are having, on sort of bigger picture kind of conversations. We are coming into what I consider a pretty big apex event here of this 2020 nonsense, this November pivot. I don't know whether we have to come all the way down to 50% levels and Feigenbaum levels. Oh, I'm supposed to do the line, aren't I? Feigenbaum! I think my vocal cords don't like that so much. I got to save my voice for the new school term so I can bark at them. Anyway, but I am looking for a pullback here into this fall apex. The interesting thing here, of course, this is just purely, I think I just did nothing more than just a market symmetry, just copied this range and replicated it and overlaid it here. So obviously history doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it often rhymes. I wouldn't be surprised if our path over the next month or two looks something along these lines. Now, in this instance, this was sort of old. You could almost think this is like pre-COVID old economy. You could make the argument when the U.S. Treasury basically guaranteed a whole bunch of paper, what is it, $2 trillion or something like that. Federal Reserve can reserve lend against that, which is basically a guaranteed profit margin for them. So they're more than happy to lend all, through the crisis here, they even took the reserve lending requirements off. They said, you don't need 5%. You're going to take it to 0. Lend all the money you want. And what a big surprise in that kind of environment. We saw tons and tons of news about companies coming and getting refinancing. So, you have to wonder, in that kind of world, is this actually a real image? And I don't think it is. It's a made-up image. It will make the public look relatively happy. Stock prices are higher. Politicians will tout that the economy's doing wonderfully. I mean, we all know what the real economy's doing. This is not real. The sad part about it is to actually really understand the real. And, I think it's important that the public realize this. it used to be absolutely sacrilegious for you to fuck around with the supply of whatever your currency is. This is the whole selling feature of Bitcoin. You can't fuck around with the number of coins out. So this image actually is, I think, what reality is. And this is the price of U.S. stocks, as represented by the S&P 500 stock index, divided by the actual number of dollars circulating in the economy, or M2 money supply. It's sort of a broad measure of the amount of dollars. And like I said, in fact, there was a long time when we lived in what was called hard money worlds, i.e. gold standard, that kind of thing. You could actually measure things like economic growth and also price inflation based on the growth of the M2 money supply, or the shrinkage of the M2 money supply. So in this Fed we don't give a fuck about money supply. We're going to do whatever we have to try and keep the fugazi going. This is actually what I think your real economy actually looks like. And frankly speaking, I think it makes sense. I mean, how many people are unemployed right now? The numbers are still pretty darn big. I think that the Fed printing press, all that kind of free money talk, the unemployment benefits, all that. I mean, in Canada, it's a little bit embarrassing hearing about how basically everybody with an income lower than, say, about, I don't know, $20,000-$30,000 here in Canada, they all basically went on welfare for the past 6 months. No questions even asked, which I found startling. I'll tell you, like I have a son with special needs, and he's low functioning autism. When he was diagnosed, of course, my wife suffered mental illness, and ultimately she succumbed to that mental illness. In that world, getting things like basic, housing and stuff for these guys, and dealing with the trauma of diagnosis, very, very trying on our family. But the social safety net, they didn't give a fuck. So it's fascinating how governments can change their policies to fit their needs, which really, in my eyes, is a pathetic commentary on this society. But anyway, then I digress. I think what's happening here is the 1% that control our economy, they are long all of these bonds, all this bad debt. I think that the public could have, if they were organized and if they were focused, they could have affected serious change to stop this process of, in essence, protecting the 1%'s interests at the cost of the 99%. But conveniently, the 1% has diluted that group, created infighting amongst the group, so that reform message can't get through. That's my impression of what's going on here. Problem here is, an image like this, is that a healthy market, or is that maybe an unhealthy market? To me, if I had money sitting on the sidelines and I looked at this image, I would have grave reservations about investing in this asset. I mean, it's just as simple as that. There's a letter of the alphabet that hopefully all of you guys have come to learn. That if we really want to risk our money in the marketplace, we really want to see those letters. And I think on this kind of image you can see, well, we're getting those kind of W type actions in here, especially right in here, beautiful in here. You could make the argument maybe we had something along these lines, although I do not like when markets do this very what I like to teach in our school is ask yourself, you're going up to the chalkboard in grade 3 English class or whatever language you speak, and the the grammar teacher asks you to draw a W on the chalkboard. If you draw a W like that, he or she's going to go, yeah, that's pretty good, not bad. If you draw a W that looks like this, they might be like, okay, well, you could use a bit more practice. So that's really kind of the difference between this kind of W action and then you get like W's within W's. I mean, this is a pretty damn good looking base. Versus this kind of W that's, you know what? Yeah, it's a W, but it's pretty damn sloppy. I mean, what this tells me is at some point down the road, we really should come down and test this level to actually find out whether it really is a W. That's my just sort of my takeaway. What's happening on this image. It's also too interesting. We do still, this is on this adjusted image, so it's slightly different. It's interesting how we had this really big hole on the charts right here. Which to me, I think sort of explains, why the market was pushing up into this sort of, some people might call this like an order block. You could argue that this market dump, there were people that took bets in here. Then when the market fell apart, they're like, oh, Jesus, now I'm screwed. And so, in essence, all this did here, this move right into here, was it just gave these people the opportunity. I mean, our sort of premise of W's, it's a bit fast. If we looked at like a lower time frame chart, we'd probably see a better example. But my hunch is there was some sort of W in here. And our basic premise is we use W's to just try and help us frame risk. So if you're like, I believe this is a bull, kind of like here. I believe this is a bull, so I'm going to buy there. And because I'm using the W, I've got sort of a very defined risk window. If we go through here, I better get the hell out. So I get the impression that on this dump, there was probably a lot of people. Remember, buy the fucking dip, right? Anybody ever heard that expression before? I get the feeling that that's probably what happened here, right? And then the market really broke, and it broke violently with a gap. So now all these people are all trapped. Interestingly enough, you probably had a lot of people through here go, no, you know what, I'm supposed to sell, and maybe I'll even use the gap because we know that 91% of the time gaps like to be filled in. But I was supposed to sell when it broke here, and it's too late. So I'm just going to put my sell order, and we know markets are volatile. We know gaps like to be filled in. You can see that's basically against a previous horizontal support and resistance level. So I'm just going to work my order, and sure enough, slowly but surely, 6-8 months later, ding, 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 I get my fill, and I walk away. Not having sort of panic dumped, but just being patient, and in essence, I got out where I was supposed to get out. I would also imagine, too, if you're thinking, you know what, I'm really a bear, but I'm not allowed to panic sell into this. Maybe I've got some on the inventory, right? I want to get out of here. This is a simple concept that we teach in our level 1 course. It's sort of the very basic, what I consider the easiest sort of trade location tool to help you sort of see where's a good idea to take a shot and where's maybe not such a good idea. Like if we're coming up into here buying in a red box, generally not a good idea. So, and ironically enough, if we do this study going the other direction now, and I don't know whether this is the top, but if it is, then interestingly enough, remember I had said if this really is a W, then what we would like to see is a serious test of this low. So, ironically enough, if we actually just simply come back down here now and put in some sort of pivot, then, ironically enough, what ends up happening is when you zoom out over time, you go, yeah, you're right. This was too steep. In fact, the market's pace was making this the big W. That does happen. And actually, that's what I kind of think has to happen here for us to actually transition into this next sort of, people who watch my videos, take my courses, subscribe, like, all that kind of fun stuff. I espouse this idea that to the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018 was the end of a very long unwinding of the baby boomers from our economy. And there should be some sort of transition window where the millennials kick in and they take over the economy and they move through their appropriate greed cycles. So you never know what these look like. You want historical reference. 1980 was one of these transitions where the greatest generation handed the ball over to the baby boomers. And ironically enough, through the Blitz and Germany's rampage across Europe there, that was another one of these generational pivots. That was sort of like the I don't even know what the name of the generation is. That was the Great Depression generation. That generation handing the ball over to the greatest generation, the people that fought the Second World War. Anyway, I believe that our next growth cycle kicks in, ironically enough, and actually it's fairly simple when you look at this image from this perspective. I believe that the next growth cycle, and actually have to see this, and I often put these kind of images out. I think the next growth cycle kicks in when this massive, and hopefully you can see it, I mean, it's huge. This is like generational. But when there's massive fractal fires. So this is the dot-com boom. If anything, this is, when you look at these kind of assets in hard money terms, everything makes sense. Because back in the Great Depression day, there was no fucking way they were going to tinker with the money supply. The banksters had just gotten into power in 1913, the hijacking of the banking system by the Jekyll Island people. They didn't have enough power to really fuck with the US dollar at that point. They have complete control now. So, and ironically enough, what historically is going to be billed as is Ben Bernanke comes and saves the economy, and through all of that, everybody gave Bernanke great accolades. But ironically enough, what should have happened to the economy is we should have gone into depression, should have wiped out all the excesses in the money supply. The banksters should have pulled back their balance sheets, written down lots and lots of losses, not gotten their big bonuses, not gotten all their stock options, blah, 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 blah. But no, that's not what happened. So in this world, they've gone after the supply of the actual US dollars, which ultimately is going to kill the US dollar. So it's really cool listening to the crypto kids because they, if you read the Satoshi white paper and, all of this sort of rhetoric around why Bitcoin was created, this idea of unfungibility, I think it's actually pretty darn important. And now you're hearing a lot of people now actually saying, we are going to transition into this crypto as a currency world. It's not really a question of if, it's just a question of time. Anyway, point that I'm trying to make here is this isn't really so much a conversation about that. This is just simply a conversation of what is the value of paper assets. And when paper assets are in preference over hard assets, then this will start to outperform dramatically. And that's sort of the conversations I don't know whether I still have it on here. Yeah, I put a lot of these charts away because I was just overwhelming my computer. I thought I left it up here, but I guess I didn't. I think I showed you guys this before. I mean, it's quite shocking, the similarities. And actually, maybe I'm wasting time. Everybody, just talk about crypto, damn it. And I really want to show you this. Well, I think this is it. So this image over on the left here, this is an image of that. Remember I said the Great Depression generation, their respective greed cycle. That was this right here, Roaring 20s. You've heard that before. And then their respective fear cycle. Currency itself is sacred. Don't fuck with the currency. So equity or risk has to come down. And in this world, a lot of banks lost a lot of money. And, of course, the banksters own everything right now. So there's no way in hell they're going to let that happen again. So this is keep the damn currency sacred. And strong U.S. dollar, I think to a certain degree, probably actually led to a lot of this growth. Because the currency in the country itself, the fundamentals, the underpinnings were so strong. And, of course, it won the Second World War. To the victors go the spoils. If we look at our current situation, that's that same sort of, remember I just showed you that image off of the ES. There is that, this is actually them fucking with the currency, and you notice that the similarities are quite shocking. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe I'll do this on a 2-pane. So there is the Great Depression. Right, Roaring 20s, and its fear cycle and the resolution. And here is our current cycle. It's actually quite remarkable how similar they are. So my feeling is that, remember we said just a moment ago, the politicians, they'll bid these stock prices up to new highs, but they're not really. We'll know that next big honkin' growth cycle is really kicking in earnest when we can punch, and it looks very well defined now, where we can punch basically through those old highs that we saw pre-COVID. And, I wouldn't even be surprised, right? The conversation around the economy will be, this is the post-COVID world. We're in COVID recovery, economic growth cycle, blah, 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 blah. But it's not here now. Be very careful about assuming that we've actually started this next growth cycle. I don't think this actually really kicks in for another year or two, to be honest with you. And the end of this year, it could be pretty nutso out there, everybody. Just be forewarned. Ironically enough, it could be nutso going both directions. I'm almost worried right now that the NASDAQ itself is setting up like a 1987 crash scenario. Here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is now Fakese prices. And you can kind of see how we're making this megaphone. It's actually interesting. I heard a couple people say that they saw megaphones happening in some cryptocurrency assets as well. This, of course, is over a very, very long period, monthly. But, here's the kick in the pants, right? Politicians are going to want to get the market up to new highs. Say that, of course, everything's fine, tickety-boo. But really, this is our playground. Remember what I said about M's and W's there a few minutes ago? Actually, I haven't even checked in on the YouTube page. Let's see, is anybody over here? Is anybody listening to me? That'd be so funny if I'm just sitting here blabbing away. I'm just talking to a screen here. I have no idea if anybody's even here. Is anybody here? Hey, Colleen says this is great. Oh, that's good. I mean, I really have to drive home how significant this year is. Holy Jesus. OBV is off. Oh, am I not recording anymore? Maybe YouTube isn't even playing. That would suck if we didn't record any of this. Hey, there you go. Well, I think YouTube's working. Got a downvote, so I must be doing something right. Isn't that how it goes? Nick. Hey, Nick says here. Ha ha. There you go. 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 There Mr. Peekaboo says, yo, 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 Brian. Too bad we only get you on Sundays now. Well, actually, I get Monday to Friday. I do a little blurb there. Hope everything is well. I'm watching this later at 1.25 speed because my Gen Z brain needs constant stimulus. Well, that makes sense. Ali Al-Sharki says, Dear Brian, I want to participate on your school program, but I want to pay with credit card, but using the DaVinci 15. Jesus Christ. Okay, Ali, do the, what is it, support at therationalinvestor.com. I gotta say, Julian is one hell of a kick-ass support dude. I mean, he's got the patience of Job. I mean, it's like every day he's doing multiple tickets and stuff. And he's keeping a level head through all of this. So that's probably your best bet, Ali. Remember, I'm the chart guy. I'm the boring old man. Oh, watch out, sky's falling. I'm not the site admin, she'll sell you a course kind of stuff. I hate all that stuff. I think I've told you guys, actually, I'm kind of thinking about just retiring from public. I've had enough of this. I was going to go buy my VCIMers and go retire out in I think I'm going to shack up in the back of Shane's minivan. If that damn cat will let me in. Jerk. All right. Anyway, now back to the show. Crazy rants aside. Hey, I got another downvote. Woohoo! Party! Way to go, guys. I suppose we probably. Why don't we take a moment and do the shill here? What are we supposed to say? Let's see. 6 out of 7 dentists agree. Using toothpaste while you brush your teeth often helps prevent cavities. No, that's not what I want to say. What do I want to say here? 30 Helens agree. Let's see. Hey, 4 downvotes. Woohoo! We're kicking ass now. This silly social media. What a joke. Oh, goodness. I mean, the irony of it all is that I could tell you, I could fucking, this is exactly the same thing as the dot-com boom. I suppose I could, polish this presentation up enough and spend the next 5-10 years just shilling this story. Just exactly like I shilled the whole why I wanted to buy hard assets in 2001, 2002. And really, I got out of the stock market business completely after the silly China Olympics run up there, and then the venture market just absolutely collapsed after that. So along the same lines, and I probably could have written a book and gone and done the whole classic market angle. I got sort of wrapped up in the world of autism there, so things got slightly. Actually, I was working on a really cool project of doing a mouse over a map of BC showing all the different mine locations. Never did get that off the ground. Maybe I'll think about doing that again one day. Anyway, so I put whatever value. Yeah, Shane. I appreciate you over there on YouTube helping the cause. I wouldn't be surprised though, Shane, if you're one of those downvotes, though, aren't you? You're just a troublemaker. I know you. Anyway, okay. Let's do our shill here, so then that way I don't have to worry at the end whether I said all the piece. So, what I do here at TRI is I try and help people just sort of frame expectations and frame behavior. There's no magic wand to trading. There are lots of people, of course, online that are going to shill you it. This is a business. You have to think about it as a business. Like, have you ever watched those guys on that antique show where they go running around the country, digging through people's barns looking for deals? And of course, they've got a profit margin. So you can think of them as, rummaging around barns as us, like at the bottom of trading ranges buying crap that nobody's interested in. And then, of course, when the public gets interested, and think of those antique shows, right? They take the idea, they polish it up. Think of what Justin Sun is doing with that BitTube kind of idea, where I think he went in and he saw that, hey, this thing's ridiculously cheap. He's just going to polish it up a bit, shill it out to the public. The coin's price will go like 10x, and then he's going to sell it to the public at a nice markup. It's the exact same thing. That's basically capitalism 101. And it doesn't matter whether you're, growing cabbages in your backyard and then selling them at a farmer's market, or you're hunting for the next shitcoin that's going to go 10x. It's really the same principle. So what I do, and this is 30 years working in this crazy market, is the principles don't ever change. How do you run a half decent business? Bank's always going to say, if you're ever going for a business loan, they're going to say, okay, please show me your business plan. I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here. What I think makes TRI special is, number one, the ideas and the concepts have been vetted, and I've run a number of different businesses. And the great part about it is we've been teaching the school for now, 6 years, and you see the success. It's all over these people. The concepts work. The only problem is they're very sort of splotchy. If you actually wanted to do all the work and put all this crap all together on your own, it would take a very long time and a lot of work. So that's the one great part about this school program, is basically I've distilled like 30 years of my career into very sort of digestible weekly subjects. And from beginning to end, it probably takes like about a good year or so, of just plugging away week after week after week. But I mean, that just goes to show how much shit there is to learn in this space. We frame the education program so that, just like when you're building a house, just like when you're doing any project, you have, the plans in place, the blueprints, the foundation to just set yourself up for success. And the best analogy for this possible is my son with a severe disability. And frankly speaking, I think we could probably all consider ourselves, when it comes to good money management and good principles of money management and running a business expecting a profit, I think everybody in the public can consider themselves disabled. I think you might even go as far as to say that it's actually in our society's best interest to make the public, the masses, as dumb and disabled when it comes to understanding basic financial asset management as possible. In fact, whole industries have grown up and are very well established, and they've got serious stake at risk here if the public should ever actually get wise to how they should appropriately behave in the marketplace. Remember, the whole marketplace and all of this whole capitalism concept is just built off of two words. If you can understand that, and the irony of it all is it works fantastic for the crypto kids. I see them repeatedly, the guys that do really, really well, step into the breach and buy when everybody else is shitting their pants. It's quite remarkable to watch. And then conversely, and this is the really hard part of this game, is you have to have the discipline and really the intestinal fortitude, that's the best way to describe it, to actually sell and let go of the emotional attachment of your idea when others around, of course, are overly optimistic and euphoric. That isn't easy to do. In fact, I would simply say consistently doing it day in, day out, year in, year out, it's almost impossible for the public. That's why that most of the public, it's not really in your best interest to even go down this quote unquote trading rabbit hole, because it often ends in heartbreak. I mean, I might as well call a spade a spade. There's a reason why 95% of the people in this world can't do this. So if we actually assume that we are disabled from the get-go, kind of like how I have to approach everything I do with my son, and he's low functioning, disabled too, nonverbal, high anxiety, anything can set Liam off. How do I approach? And think of yourself as like a Liam. Anything could set me off. Somebody goes boo and I could shit my pants in a moment. Think of yourself as him. Let's use Liam as we're all Liams. So how on earth do we sort of manage ourselves through this nightmare of we could be triggered at a moment's notice? The only way you can do it, the only way, is you have to plan ahead of time. You can try and shoot from the cuff. That does sometimes work. But I'll tell you, there's an old expression. This is like gnarly old broker dude talking, right? One of the worst things that can possibly happen to somebody who really wants to, like, I want to be a trader. That means I'm going to be here for the next 10, 20 years trading and making money from trading. One of the worst things that can possibly happen to that guy is for him to actually get a whole bunch of success really quickly. Because then you realize that, okay, maybe you realize it, maybe you don't. But, maybe you just happen to have a thesis that happened to agree with the market state and you ran with it. And as long as that thesis remained in place, rock and roll. I'm a trader. Well, okay, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Unfortunately, with us humans, what ends up happening is if something's, you probably heard the expression, if something's too good, it's probably, or was it, something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So, if you get a whole bunch of people that say they're making a bunch of money trading Bitcoins and buying Ethereum and DeFi, is that going to keep going on indefinitely, or does the trade actually become a bit crowded? Everybody's long because everybody wants to make money from Ethereum and DeFi. Woo! And again, this gets back to our two words, drive all markets. So we talked about when the OGers actually do well at this game. They buy when what's the public feeling? Let's see, we'll do a little bit of feedback on YouTube. Let's see if anybody can answer this. And you see those crypto Cobain guys all just, driving around their Lambos. I don't know, do any of you follow that crypto Cobain guy? I mean, I'd have to say, as crypto OGers go, he's probably well up there. There's that Loops guy. I think he's another one of those guys. I mean, these are the crypto Twitter kids, right? But I mean, they're buying when all of the public has been absolutely destroyed. And then conversely, when are they usually selling? Thank you, Simon. Good to remember that. Buying when they're crying and selling when they're yelling. So, if you can actually try and approach your trading from just that perspective, ironically enough, you keep yourself out of a lot of trouble. The only problem with that right at the moment is, I think, on balance, we had a period where, in the spring there, things got a little bit scary on the downside. Probably set up a fantastic buying window for people who had the balls. And I think there were some people that did really well. But did you kind of notice that as people keep coming to the well, keep coming to the well, keep coming to the well, the money's getting a little bit harder and harder to find. Um, and then you can have like really quick slips, right? Where the market just breaks and it's like all the people who are, I got to buy this, I got to get in, it just keeps going up, I keep going up. Those guys get really hurt. And I think that's exactly what we just went through. So the point I'm trying to make here is that market state is always changing. If you are sort of shoot by the seat of your pants, what's probably going to end up happening is through the seasonally appropriate time period, buy when it snows, sell when it goes, you're probably going to do pretty well. And then when the market seasonality rolls over, they don't call it the fall for nothing, that kind of talk, they're going to end up giving a lot of that right back. I see that is, 30. I got my first job in 88, so that's 32 years now playing this silly game in earnest. Yeah, I did go to university through that and, had kids and wives and all that, but I've been paying pretty damn close attention for a good 30 plus years, and that's what I've seen. And the people that can do well at this, ironically enough, they don't even really get swept up in the, what's Bitcoin going to do? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? I don't know what it's going to do. What ends up happening is they just hunt their very specific. When I see exactly this stuff, then I know the odds are in favor for me, and I'll take my shot then. Usually coming through sort of February, March time period, we get a lot of those W's and indicators, prices at the bottom end of the range, W's in price, 50% levels are a million miles away, and it almost seems like this is too easy to be true. Usually, ironically enough, in those windows, and I remember I did a video with Da Vinci a couple years ago through one of those windows, and fascinating how, we didn't really get a lot of traction out of, oh my God, there's an incredible window of opportunity in front of us. In fact, through that period, nobody would touch a shit coin. Of course, price starts coming back now and people like shit coin. Oh, no, they're not. This is DeFi. This is not shit coins, right? Whatever. I'm not here to argue fundamental stories. Obviously do your own FA. What I'm just simply here to suggest is that for you to be effective in the marketplace day in, day out, you really have to be methodical in your approach. You have to be obsessive about risk management. You have to give yourself like routines that first I need this, then I need to see this, then I need to see this. You need to be able to build a framework where you can actually judge whether you are actually making progress. I am getting more patient and waiting for good trade location. I am not learning patience, and I see in the data that I'm taking trades at crappy trade locations and getting torn apart. These are the kind of tools, like I said, you could scour around the internet looking at ad nauseum for these tools. But the great part about the education program is we've already gone through all this shit. So we've got the spreadsheet templates. We have the trading plan templates. We have the, various different tools that we help support. Think of Liam again. What I actually do every single visit, now when I'm done here with you, I'll get ready to visit Liam, is I will simply make a plan how to best support Liam. I'm not, and I will, I specifically have things in that plan that, well, don't do that because that sets him off. So we will just avoid doing anything related to that. I would suggest you do the same thing for yourself and you managing your money. And that's really what the school program is all about, is learning this thing called the process. So I can see we just got a downvote there. So I think that was, shut the hell up, Brian. Get on with the goddamn charts. We don't care. So we have about another 3 days left on this promotional package for the fall term. It's there. If you can take advantage of it, if it helps you, awesome. If not, I won't be offended. I think actually we even have like a 30-day site trial. You can just come hang out with us for a month. And that ought to get an upvote or two. And just, see whether actually we do in the community on a daily basis what we're blabbing about here day in, day out on these free videos. Hopefully you see that, yep, it's basically the same message. Ultimately what I'm really stoked about is TRI's actually, we've invested a lot of time and effort in trying to build out, sort of take advantage of this developer cycle, build out the site resources to the point where actually I have a really effective trading engine at my disposal. Right, and as I said, I think I've said to you before, at some point I might even stop using TradingView and just simply use our site. I'm seeing that the breadth indicator, this was an indicator that I built years ago. It helps a lot in me sort of seeing what the broader ill health of the market is, and right now it's not happy at all. We are, we're not oversold on sort of a medium-term basis. We are definitely oversold on a short-term basis, but the moving averages are positioned negatively, and they're breaking down to new market structure lows. This is another reason why I'm not too jazzed about getting too excited about things like DeFi right in here. I might do things like, in fact, I did do things like nanny nibbles against bottom ends of ranges and some names that I like. Really boring, not out of favor ideas. But this is definitely not bet the farm kind of time period in the market. Also, too, and this is another thing that I actually really like, is I follow the histogram of the breadth. And if we ever get a situation where you see the both the medium and short term get heavily, deeply embedded negatively, and keep in mind the medium term moves very, very slowly. So it takes a very long time to get embedded either overly bullish or overly bearish. If we get a situation, it looks like this is what's developing here. This is actually going to produce a huge buy signal in the market, which is ironic. Again, I've been waiting a very long time for these tools to be put in place. I don't know whether I was recording when I said that, but once I have these kind of tools in place, then my propensity, and especially with Sjord getting everything algoritmized, my propensity to work with the public will probably start diminishing. We're right on the cusp of building these tools I've been waiting very patiently for. And ironically enough, here's the kick in the pants is I actually built the school and the school program to do nothing more than actually help fund this development. So the school was actually technically a means to an end. Now that we're getting this all up and running, and I got to tell you, man, the signals are flying in fast and furious here now. And what I also really like about this, this is so beautiful. If, actually there were some bearish signals. Sjord's almost got it to the point here now. I noticed that, and he still has till January 1st technically to deliver. So he's way ahead of schedule. And this is really more commentary for site members and stuff. But now the screeners are starting to come in, and oh, it's so beautiful. Obviously you can see he's still sort of building things out here, but man, just absolutely beautiful. And a good example of this, once we get these things all nice and automated, then the computers can just take over. Oh man, sky's the limit. So excited. So super stoked for TRI. Just give you a little update. And like I said, I mean, come kick the tires for the next 30 days free. It's no charge. So if you happen to see something that you like that catches your eye here, the number of resources that we're putting together, super exciting. So, okay, so I think a really good example, and it was a screener result recently, was this REGN. It's so pretty. And it's just like everything. Like if you're like, Brian, I want to learn how to identify tops and markets. Show me something of some sort of value here so I can take away. I mean, this the great part about this is the screener picked this up. So this trade ultimately should have been taken completely automated. But this is the kind of stuff I was so hoping we could get moving towards. So very simple, in fact, actually this is a little bit longer than a 52-week range. Is it? 2020? Oh yeah, that's 52-week range. Really simple stuff. Great part about this, of course, is beautiful signs of momentum failure, and actually even a divergence confirmed right there. Our overbought, oversold indicator really massively in divergence, coming out of divergence. Nice moving average cross. A lot of guys I used to work with used to follow moving average systems. Beautiful moving average cross signal there. Of course, everybody knows the letter of the alphabet here. So, if we ever see the market smiling at us, what should we be thinking? You can see she's coming fast up against 200 SMA. Probably going to get some play against her. I feel very comfortable thinking that 50% roll. There's no reason why not. But interesting. 200 SMA is going to be up against these lows and that old high and the top of value there. So, yeah, I might see some play there. And then the sort of pièce de résistance, the icing on the cake, is this most beautiful bearish engulfing bar, which actually initiated the trade signal on the screener system right from that level. So this is just, I mean, I tell you, like I said, the computer sees this, and the computer basically sends out an email, sell on a break of 623.90. So you can place a sell on stop 623.85 or something. That signal there, actually, did I say that right? 623, yeah. So that signal, boom, it fires. This is also a really great analogy of, the whole concept of patience and discipline as a trader. In this particular case, you can see how, oh, look how smart I am. I'm just a genius. Then, oh, no, oh, God, now I'm stupid. Oh, look at me. Oh, I'm so stupid. Hey, look at me. I'm pretty smart again. Hey, oh, no, I'm getting stupid. I can feel the stupid pills kicking in. Oh, no. Oh, good. Phew, that was a placebo. Hey, look at that. I'm smart again. Look at me. So, I mean, I don't know whether you use the 200 SMA as a profit objective. Like I said, I'd probably be very comfortable with 50% roll. Nice gap down there. But it's just such a beautiful, like, just watching this trade play out. This is everything that I sort of dreamed about as, like, as a technician. I dream about these kind of charts, This is what I want to see. How many reasons can you consider taking a trade there? And, like I said, I'm just tickled pink that we've actually taught the computer now how to recognize this stuff. So, and, and shill. This should be a subscription feed on the site, so you can get these ideas just presented in your inbox on a daily basis. Fear and Greed. That's right, Andrew. Andrew must be 2xing, trying to catch up. And nobody else. Oh, actually, there's a couple people wrote Fear up top there, but nobody really catches on to that content. Okay, so what are we guys saying here? This is a nice one, BB. I've been paying some attention to what is going on in commodities, price, supply, demand overall to have a better feeling about the path ahead. But nice to have more thoughts yours about it here. Let's see what the heck you got here. Yeah, I mean, I was ranting about that earlier, Fred, but, in a weird sort of way, dreaming about charts. Can you guys see how a guy like me, when I see that, and I look out my window and I see this massive is that a double D? No, just a single divergence. I get nice W's. Look at Willie. He's got lots and lots of room to run here. Don't quite have the volume trend. The only thing that sort of gives me pause through this, Fred, is we're coming into the fall harvest. And I get the impression this year actually it was a pretty good growing year. Might be interesting, Fred, if you want a side assignment. Let's pull up Ag Day and listen to Mr. Pell. Wait a minute, God, we used to listen to, what's his name? Art Pell? Something Pell. Stan Pell? Anyway, and the commodities boys. We haven't checked in on the CBOT boys in a while, eh? Actually, it might be interesting. Let's, just for fun, because I'm a fun kind of guy. It's just who I am. Let's maybe check out. ZC 1 exclamation mark. I wonder if that'll work. Wonder what the hell I called it. I think actually I have it up here somewhere. Caught. Where are you, caught? There you are. Caught. Boom. The gold market. Oh, isn't that interesting? Holy divergence, Batman. I won't talk about that today. Those crazy gold bugs, don't want to piss them off. ZC1 exclamation mark. Boom. There we go. Let's see what we got. Uh-oh. Holy Shiite Muslim. Fred, I think you just got your answer. That's the funny part about it is I've been doing this so long I don't even have to look at the chart anymore. I just pulled it up and boom, there's your answer. And actually, how beautiful. This is perfect. What's the public doing in the grain market right now? Anyone? Who can tell me? What is the public doing? Well, does that make sense? Actually, you know what? I want you all to think about this. And somebody, let's see if you guys say, if you don't know this, then get your ass into the school program. We spend 2 weeks trying to teach this to you in the level 2 program. But if you fancy yourself a trader, you have to know this information. So I want everybody on YouTube. I'm going to go take a piss. I'll be right back. Hey, look at that. Right in the middle of the show, he's going to get up and go to the bathroom. I want to see. There's 62 people. When I come back, I want to see, number one, what's the smart money doing here in the corn market right now? And look at these idiot fucking downvoters. You guys are assholes. I'm giving you the secret to the market here, and you don't even realize that you're downvoting me because when are you going to talk about crypto? I mean, why do you even come and watch these videos? So I want to see, number one, what's the smart money doing right now? And number two, what's the public doing? I'll be right back. Somebody cue elephant do 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 do.
Yeah.
Do,
Yeah.
do, Do,
Meow,
do,
meow,
do,
meow,
do.
meow, meow.
What's that sound? Now. I did hear the. All right, let's see what we got here. Did anybody write anything up here? All right, rocker. Yeah, everybody do the rocker salute. Rocker, rock me, my 30 Helens agree. Let's see. You'll score bonus points with Brian if you can tell me what show that's from. All right. Roman says smart money is buying. Zoc Nix says buying. Smart money is going to the bathroom. They are? Smart money's buying puts? You think so? I don't know. You know, if you just look at this data, the and I don't know whether that's teal or gray or whatever. I'm totally colorblind. This is the commercials, and remember the commercials. They always do the exact opposite. So commercials, if they're selling and M's, that's a clear indication of selling. That must mean that they must expect that the price is going to go down. It's complicated to explain hedges. If anything, I was really proud of myself. I spent, probably about a month or so, I guess maybe a year or so ago, really detailing how the hedge works. It's complicated, trust me. But the point of the matter here is we can take from the commercials that they always take the opposite side of the trade. The green people, they are your Goldman Sachs's, Merrill Lynch's, Joey Diamond, right? We all love Joey Diamond. Bitcoin's a fraud. Fuck you. JP Morgan's a fraud. In fact, he was a fraud, wasn't he? This has nothing to do with RSI here. Because remember, J.P. Morgan, he was all rah rah America, but he was actually a front for the Rockefellers, right? And he never disclosed that publicly. So actually, I think you can actually make the argument that J.P. Morgan actually is a fraud. So there you go, Mr. Diamond. Chew on that. Point here is those people, they facilitate the trade for the commercials. Because remember, the commercials, the only thing they care about is they need to make sure that their clients are hedged and have removed price risk completely from their business models. That's their only purpose. So, ironically enough, what ends up happening is the Joey Diamonds, they make great money because they are forced to be on the right side of the trade. Isn't capitalism wonderful? Sharky found the lake. Oh, that's hilarious. 30 Helens agree. So, in sort of the, tinfoil hats, it's all a conspiracy, it's all a scam. Ironically enough, if you see the green line here Wing out, that means that the smart money, of course, is accumulating. They are facilitating the trade for the commercials, and by definition, they make money. And then over here, and I just happen to have this to separate to see because it's almost hilarious because it always goes this way. The red line in this study is the small speculators, or basically these people have to report they're so big that back about 100 years ago, they tried to make sort of the world a little bit leveler, a little bit fairer. And they said, hey, if you control more than, say, I think it's like 3% of the market, you have to tell the public what you're doing. Try to get rid of that. There was a famous stock operator, Jesse Livermore, who, the day the stock market crashed in 1929, His wife actually moved all the furniture out of his house thinking that they were broke, stock market crashes. And Jesse Livermore comes home and goes, "Dear, I made more money today than I made in my whole entire career put together." Because he was slightly crooked. Don't you love capitalism? I mean, that's the worst part about capitalism. Everybody has to understand this. Capitalism has no morals whatsoever. Um, and, I mean, there's some societies around the world where they basically say, hey, if I can scam you and I can get away with it, I'm not the one to blame. You are for being a sucker. How do you think, Kevin? Would you like me to run my business like that? Would you suggest to your friends, hey, why don't you go over to Brian? Yeah, he called me a sucker and he took my money and really the product I gave him was kind of crappy. But hey, go and do business with him. I mean, I don't quite understand how that philosophy can spur further business growth and further expansion of an economy. To me, that almost seems like cannibalistic. But oh well, it is what it is. Point here is the red line on this image is what's called the small speculators. Basically, that's everybody that doesn't have to report, or it's you and I. Generally speaking, do the small speculators, do they generally make money or lose money from trading? Anybody who bought Link up there at $20? How's it doing? Did it ever get back up to $20 there? I know that Chico guy said everybody was going to be driving their Lambos if they just kept buying it. Let's see how we're doing. I'm just kidding. The funny thing here with this chain link is, and I tried to talk to people about this yesterday in our lounge. It's very difficult to get this message across. But, at TRI, would any TRIer have any business whatsoever coming in and investing in Chainlink here? This is relative to Bitcoin, dollar price, of course, very different. Would it be smarter for you to maybe think, if you really do want to invest in this, wait for these trend lines to be broken, wait for W's, wait for bottom ends or ranges, that kind of stuff. The public usually buys tops and sells bottoms. So it's kind of amusing when we're looking at that corn chart. First thing you pull up here, what is the public doing right now in the corn market? Are they buying or are they selling? A society with no trust equals crabs in a barrel. I don't know what that means. You can trade your setup, though. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Ironically enough, the public thinks that they're pretty smart here, but I got a funny feeling they're selling into ironically enough, it's the public selling that the institutions are buying. So anyway, look at that image, and that image is a bit scary. If you're a bear, right? And I suppose like the public started to get bearish in earnest here. So I suppose there was a half decent trade if they were slick. Looks like the market's taken that back right away here. But the people that I would listen to if you're going to follow Commitments of Traders reports are the commercials. So when I see the commercials going and putting in, and remember, the large institutions facilitate the commercials. So if I see a big M come in on the commercials, I have to be thinking that these guys think the price is about to go up big time. So, all right on, Allie. Awesome. Welcome aboard. You are going to learn the process, and you better work, Allie. This isn't easy. It's hard work. So I want you to get your money's worth. Really prove to me that you can learn this thing called the process. It's kind of interesting just for fun. We had the gold market on there a moment ago, and I was kind of like, oh boy, I don't like what I'm seeing here. See if this will load up here. So when I see this, I get a little bit concerned. I mean, we don't have a top just yet, but can you see how the institutions, they're not really the ones buying this move up here. I mean, they bought a bit. Then actually that squared up a bit. And then, again, remember these guys, they're generally on the right side of the market. You can see the M that came in here. Expect a bull market. Roar. More M's. But hey, wait a minute. Something's not going on here, or not going right. So, if I was following commitments to traders reports here for a Q on gold, I'd really like to see the large institutional players actually come back in on the buy side here. This is actually a divergence to me as far as I'm concerned there. And I'd like to see the commercials actually start hedging and these guys start selling in earnest to tell me that we're getting ready for another leg higher here. Right now, this looks a bit dangerous. And then, remember, the public always does the wrong thing. So what I see here is I see the public, and it makes sense. Somebody on Twitter even said that to me the other day. Brian, is it a good idea to go and buy gold as a hedge here right now? And I'm like, not now. In 2000, that was the absolute perfect time to hedge your portfolios by selling paper assets and buying hard assets, but not now. What I'm worried about here is, do you see how the public is just, they've got an insatiable appetite. They're coming in hard here. Remember, the public always buys tops and sells bottoms. They always do the wrong thing. So seeing the public trending higher here, that's got to give me pause. And then, of course, if we just look at this simple technical picture here, gee whiz, this thing's come an awful long way. So, take it for whatever it's worth. I mean, I suppose you could have followed the small specs off of this W here and then these W's here and be like, fuck you, Brian. I mean, this thing's kicking ass. But I think I would prefer if I was using that, like the traders data, and basically that's the same point. The small specs and like everybody, they all pivoted through here. The large specs pivoted hard and the commercials pivoted hard. And interesting enough, this actually, I don't know whether Dav was in the program through this or not, but this was a great signal. And I remember we talked lots on the site about this signal. It was a fantastic signal. And notice, look at that trade location, right? This is like if you're interested in commitments to traders reports, this is how I like to use this kind of information. Coming into trade location, maybe even trend line support, not really though. But trade location at the bottom end of the range, notice the W's, and then you look down and see what are the big boys doing, and sure enough, the big boys are buying. The institutions and the commercials, they're telling their clients to lock in hedges. That was one hell of a signal. But do we have that right now? I mean, institutions are long. There really isn't an M here. Not really the clearest of signals, so nothing really to get too excited about here either way. And like I said, I don't like the fact that the small specs are getting heavily long here. Since we're supposed to be talking about crypto, why don't we take a look at Bitcoin just for kicks? The problem here, though, is I don't think too many people have really bought on to the idea of hedging. Now, this is interesting, though. Interesting how, using this data, we could frame behavioral patterns. I suppose, like that kind of dump against these lows, that was sort of what I was talking about earlier, trying to identify the public panicking. I don't know. It's a tough one. Cute little W came in there, so that's actually pretty good, useful information. But you see that there's a disconnect here. It's almost like, keep in mind, Wall Street works on Wall Street's terms, right? They don't give a shit about crypto kids. I mean, let's call a spade, right? I mean, that's half the reason why the U.S. regulators outlawed U.S. citizens being able to operate on these various exchanges. Because it's cutting into the big boys' business model, and we can't have that happen now, can we? So when I look at an image like this, usually we'd have green line and the teal line. These would be opposites. But it appears to me like it's almost like the exact opposite. I think that the hedging community is slowly coming into this space. So we'll get rid of that guy. We'll get rid of that guy. So you can see there is sort of the limited hedging activity here. I don't know whether that's really a useful information. So I haven't really relied on commitments of traders data for Bitcoin analysis just yet. It's still very sketchy. All right. Well, anyway, it's kind of a fun diversion. If we just look at the commitments of traders data, and we won't maybe incorporate that sort of hedger sort of conversation, we'll just ask, what are the small speculators? Think of these as just, Joe Sixpack buying the futures contracts, and then the large speculators, they're obviously the market makers, so they seem to be on the sell side. To a certain degree, those market makers, large institutions, they're on the wrong side of the market right now. Are they acting as the commercials in this space? I don't know. It's a good question. Has this trend officially changed here yet? No, there's nothing really to get too excited about off of this. I suppose, nice dovetail. Let's just move right on to Bitcoin here and talk a little bit corn. The way I interpret Bitcoin right now is I don't know whether I have these scales correct. They might be a bit off, so maybe disregard the 45-degree angles. I really like the idea that the corn is just sort of trapped in a trading range for now. So I wouldn't be surprised through this chaos peak. We might get stabs up top here. It's going to have to, really clean itself up here in the short term. A lot of work to do. I actually really like the idea of the market dumping into that November event. And actually that's setting up sort of our next buying window. How long that takes to actually push back up to the upside, I don't know. That's a tough one. The general feeling I have here for Bitcoin is if I can invest in Bitcoin at or below the cost of production, I think it's a no-brainer. The only problem here is I believe, we did studies last cycle, watched some of our old videos. When we were down swimming around these lows, we had a couple of site members. I think there's a guy named Tony who did some exhaustive work. And actually, Shane, are you still here? He has a fantastic script that he put together on TradingView that has did you adjust that script that you have for the new S19 miners?
Can't adjust the script, but we can model it accordingly. But the script is just very variable. You just punch in the miners' details.
All right. So point here is, if you want, anytime you're thinking about investing in a commodity, which, isn't a bad idea. The only problem there is what's value? How do you figure out what the hell value is on a commodity? And, again, 30 years in this business. I mean, I'm not making this shit up. And the message, I remember I was a licensed commodities broker. Buy your unleaded in the middle of February, sell it the middle of May, you made money in 9 out of the past 10 years. Gotta hit that 9. So, when I talk about these kind of things, this isn't necessarily like I'm making price predictions. What I'm really just saying is, we're in a obviously emotionally charged environment. I think everybody can appreciate that. So, in a weird sort of way, just like through the DeFi sort of euphoria, does everybody remember how panicky and sky is falling pessimism we had through March? In fact, through that March period when we dumped here, and I always know that I'm on to something, if I actually can get the trolls to come out on Twitter and stuff and start bantering with me, it probably means that actually I'm on to something, which is so ironic. I got into a lot of trouble calling the public names through 2017, but ironically enough, I was on to something. And sure enough, there was disaster down the road looming. Got into trouble a little bit here recently about politically incorrect statements about social gatherings and coronavirus cases. I think I'm on to something. I love these crazy fogging bombs. And I thought it was fascinating when I just did this up last spring. Caught a lot of negative feedback from this. I was really surprised. People actually like publicly ostracizing me. Like, I don't care what you think. Why do people even bother replying to my tweets and that kind of stuff with criticism? You know, I don't give a shit about what people think. But oh well, it is what it is. So please remember, this was just back in March. I mean, why is it that things are so much better now? Could we go back into this kind of environment? Sure. This is an incredibly charged year, emotionally. So, like I said there a few minutes ago, through this period, we came up with a basic idea that cost of production, somewhere around, I don't know, $2,000 or $3,000, and it's fascinating how price basically bottomed right around $3,000. Doesn't necessarily have to bottom there. In fact, actually, it can overshoot it. It just simply means that the miners are bitching and complaining. You better get that fucking price up. And, you know, if price stays below the cost of production for a prolonged period of time, many of those miners will just simply disappear. I can't stay in business. Got to close up shop. And, you know, the one huge selling feature of this whole decentralization concept is this idea that no one or even collective few participants can control a blockchain. Interesting how Barry Silbert's ETC right now is going through those kind of pains right now. And nobody's all excited about ETC these days. So the point being, if you can start your analysis, you know, and if you're a fundamental kind of person, then it makes it a lot easier. But if you can start your analysis, if you're thinking about investing in these commodity proxies, if you can start your analysis with what is value. The POW coins makes it relatively easy. Think cost of production. The POS coins, man, it's so shady. I have a feeling a good portion of the POS community is nothing more than just sentiment. I do know that there was a very big sort of yield sort of sell pitch. I wonder if this whole DeFi craze is actually going to cannibalize that kind of POS kind of payment system. I don't know. Who knows? Problem here too, everybody, please understand, I'm not a blockchain expert. Hell, I'm not even a blockchain novice. I'm a blockchain idiot. I'm a blockchain spectator, right? Armchair quarterback. Vitalik, you should have done that, right? And he goes, what? Shut up. You know, I'm Mr. Hey, I want to risk money in the marketplace and I want to see if I can make my money grow. That's what I do. So, but I think it's a good idea if you're going to try and invest your money over the long term to make money from trading. You try and figure out some sort of value, some sort of fundamental value. Then what you're going to find time and time again is that gee whiz, market put technical bottoms in at or near value levels. That's usually how this game works. So 2,000 to 3,000 back here. We've now had the halvening event, right? That was through here. So technically that means that this 2 to 3,000 is really now 4 to 6,000. It's fascinating when I just simply draw a reload zone. Gee whiz. Top of the reload zone is 7,000. Bottom end of the reload zone is 5,700. And there's Kavarkinator sticking his tongue out at us at 5,800 or 4,800. Interesting too, when I look at the profile, this is not a full profile as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of sort of emptiness to this profile. And I wouldn't be surprised at the end of all of this that this entire area here is completely filled in. Boo, hiss, hiss, boo, hiss, boo, hiss. Hopefully I'm wrong. But, playing this game for that long, seeing that kind of profile, that gives me some pause. It is what it is. Also, too, I thought it was kind of cool, if you look at the corn from a sort of high to low perspective. I think I have these charts like over here. There was a site member who sent me a chart. I think it was on Twitter. Actually, it was in like a old OG. I've showed you guys this chart before. And he sent me this, and I thought this was so cool. Where you just connect the dots off of these lows. Boom, boom, boom. And you see this was, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was like a China fake pump or something like that. And we've come right up into this, actually even 1, 2, right up into this, the third one. And look at the fractal that was put in right up here. I mean, you guys are all like, well, Brian, what do market pivots look like? I hate to say it, folks. Market pivots look like that. I mean, I wouldn't mind if we could get nice counter trend rallies back up into reload zones against this trend line. Maybe even a brush of this line here up into here to set up a nice little short. But I don't think that's going to happen. What I actually think is going on here, keep in mind, stock market, like the QQQs, they ended right on their knees. Tech stocks, they're just getting taken apart here right now. Think, of course, everybody that chased Apple into that stock split. So that stock's got to come down after that split. Same thing on Tesla. People chased that into its stock split. Then also, too, probably a bunch of people bought Tesla hoping it would be included in the S&P 500. So those people are being removed from the market right now. And I showed you that REGN as a classic sort of, what is the algorithm kind of thinking, stock market risk. I mean, our algorithms and the computers, you better be damn careful here, people. That's the stock market. Is crypto another one of these risk assets? I hate to say it, folks, but I believe it is. I know a lot of people don't like that thinking, but I do believe that crypto is part of sort of like this entire universe. So that's this kind of thinking, all right? Risk on versus risk off. What do you guys all know this. Well, what are we supposed to be thinking if we see the market smiling at us? If we're really lucky, it looks like this, and then we end up going and Wing, and okay, everything's fine. What I've often noticed is the market doesn't often like to repeat the same pattern repeatedly, because then too many people are looking for the same thing, right? So market smiled. Remember I said that fractal. We are now going through sort of the cleanup process. Remember I said stocks, man, they ended the week on Friday very, very poorly. And also oil too. Also, so all of our 3 risk assets looking really dangerous here. And interestingly enough, I had mentioned this, which I thought was fascinating. I mean, whatever you do, don't go and buy this corn here for Pete's sakes, right? Reload zones, gaps, value, probably bids at the POC, whatever, right? Don't chase. You all know that. But what was I just talking about there a second ago? Oh yeah, the crude. Man, I couldn't believe this crude oil chart. So surprising. Because think about it from a futures trader's perspective. And actually, this makes a heck of a lot more sense. Can you see how those guys, them, remember in the short term, all the kids getting destroyed when they blew that ETF up, right? The USO, like crude oil to minus $30 a barrel. Total insane, right? Notice that these deferred. This is the December 2020 contract. That was back in May, right? And back then, of course, you got all your nutso spot markets just looking a mess. Where's that crude? Like if you look at like a spot crude oil contract chart. I'm gonna screw everything up here. All right, it was this nonsense. But futures traders aren't looking at this. This is the retail public caught in those leveraged ETFs, and they're just destroying them. But no futures trader is going to be involved in this. Remember, as this is happening, right? This is the May contract. No futures traders even trading that front contract, right? They're trading the deferred contracts. So, what did the trade on the other side of this actually look like? And I think this is it right here. So, a big dump happened, right? And they got, of course, the kids all destroyed. COVID nonsense. But notice, as they were taking the market to lower lows, notice the momentum indicators were not making lower lows. RSI here even Wing out and, putting in W's through 50 lines. Yeah, I mean, you could argue Willie did technically get stupid over here. So, we're definitely in a selling zone. Look at that OBV turning back up through here as well. So I think what happened was that the trade was to buy your crude off of this double bottom, looking for, the knee-jerk initial reaction should be that 50% bounce. That's pretty normal. I suppose if this thing can get a head of steam on it, just like we saw with good old Bitcoin, I mean, oh, wow, isn't that interesting? So the little double bottom there on this thing says we could come up here. And it's interesting. I was looking at this chart with the profile here and going, geez, that looks awfully screwy. Something's just not right about that. So maybe this is like a head fake move. They do the 50% level going the other direction. I mean, you can see how close we are here. But I wouldn't be surprised if this goddamn thing is actually up here down the road. And interesting how that chaos level has not been hit yet. So, point here I'm trying to make is I think that the actual long trade in the commodities through that meltdown there was actually on this December contract. And now this trade is done. So now, of course, all the noobs and the new people to trading, they're interested in this December contract. But my hunch is actually the guys that are trading this stuff in earnest are probably watching things like the May 2021 contract. That's probably what they're watching right now. Double top breakdown. Not a bad fail. Moving averages crossing. You can see the gaps down below. I could see this thing work its way down into here. Probably going to set up, buy when it snows, sell when it goes. That, like, I love the idea of a nice big fat buy signal across the market right after that election. And that's not even precluding who wins. I think the market puts in the buy signal after the election regardless of who wins. But something like that, if you are I don't like crude, and I won't be investing in crude. I think it's a 20th century story. It's over as far as I'm concerned. But, oil traders, that's probably your level you want to keep an eye on there for taking positions out into the new year, right? Buy your unleaded the middle of February, sell it the middle of May. You made money 9 out of the past 10 years. That trade to buy this deferred May contract is probably going to set up in like January, February, whatever. Through this bottoming window, probably the market bottoms through here and then starts to head back up again. Anyway, sort of a side conversation. Sorry about that. Back to Bitcoin. I've been blabbing away here forever. Is anybody getting any value out of any of this crap? Yeah, look at that. I actually have more endurance than a lot of the YouTubers. Okay, I've had enough of this clown. I got other stuff to do in my life. I'll check back in later. I love it. Maybe that's a sign I should shut the hell up. Have I looked at gasoline futures? I haven't, but like I said, I probably talked too much. I've been blabbing away here for about an hour or two, so I think I'll probably just wind this shit up here. So, am I doing anything right now on Bitcoin? No. It's pretty simple. I actually like the idea that we lost this 1 to 2 Gann angle, and we probably have to come down to this 1 to 1, which actually, ironically enough, is the natural, normal, healthy correction of this up move. And how ironic that paints about the middle of November. So, really not a hell of a lot for a guy like me to do right now. We do still have some puts on the books. I don't know whether September's they're probably going to die worthless. Too bad, because it looks to me like we want to come down into this 7,000 area, and that was our strike price from 7,500, somewhere in there. But those September ones look like they're toast, which sucks. Also, really good analogy, right? Brian's often correct, because I have been sort of suggesting this, but Brian's often early. Shouldn't have bought the September, should buy December's, March's. Try and buy yourself at least 6 months' time if you're going to buy one of these options. So, as it stands right now, I would consider price action right now consolidating at the bottom end of this range. You can see, because we have traded back to this 33. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I can actually start now thinking about bearish continuation patterns. Until we had this 33 traded to, though, I had nothing really. I just had to sit and wait and do nothing. My hunch is they're probably backing her up here, getting ready for whatever that sort of knee-jerk sell on the open. Like I said, the NASDAQ's tech stock, stuff like that, very, very weak. I showed you the breadth indicator earlier. No buy signals there whatsoever. I don't know whether we want to check in on the political scorecard. Has Mr. Trump made any kind of big forays back? I suppose if you actually start seeing a surge in his sort of voter base, popularity, those kind of stats, and maybe stock market can come ripping back. But I get the distinct impression
that moved from a tropical storm.
Blah blah blah. I get the impression that the market is actually starting to price in him losing. Because they usually say what happens in September, October is usually the market's proxy on who's going to win the election. You can see, man, they've, since Labor Day weekend coming back, I mean, it's just been one direction to the downside here. So, if the powers that be believe Mr. Trump's got a chance, this son of a bitch will bottom and start heading back up. Let's see what we got here. So we're about a month and a half away. Spread's tightening. It's only about, it's less than 20 points now. That's pretty big. Popular vote. I guess now we're under 10 points. So that's got to be good for Mr. Trump, but he's certainly got an uphill battle here. And if the market does believe that the incumbent's probably going to lose, you're probably going to see a big rotation out of the stocks that did well under Mr. Trump and a rotation out of the stocks that didn't do well under him. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, so big hurry up and, a lot of sort of rhetoric. Did actually have a nice little conversation about longer term cycles with you guys today, so that's kind of cool. Hope you got some value out of the offering. And we also told you we got a few days left of our program special offer, so if you can take advantage of that, we'd love to see you. So, I know people just like me to just quickly, through the weekend we did have a couple little trades that we were sort of kicking around. Nothing really to get excited about. Did some nanny nibbling here on some names that I like recently. I don't see any, certainly nothing to be selling here, that's for certain. Little bit worried about recent leaders still showing some further weakness here. Did a little fun little swing trade through the weekend. If this thing fails, we'll just simply walk away. It's sitting basically exactly where I bought it. So, ironically enough, there's not a hell of a lot for a guy like me to do here right now. What I will say is, I did put together a nice little matrix of those DeFi names. And of course, if you are DeFi oriented, then obviously this part of the market's got your attention. I talked to you just a few minutes ago about that link. Looking a little dangerous up here. I mean, does anybody have any business buying up here? I don't know. Oh, Jesus. Actually, I drew this yesterday or earlier today, but we didn't actually confirm that. So now we do have 1, 2, 3 lower highs. You can see where the bot trade entry level is here, and it's looking for a move down here. I thought it was interesting about this one is that, gee whiz, there's a nice tail against the previous market structure bottom, and look who's sitting there licking his chops. So fascinating how ABCDs and Mountain Mans, people that did take the level 1 here recently, this is what I need for you to start seeing, is how this is starting to now actually coalesce into a pretty darn significant level. Right? And remember, location, location, location. 3 words in real estate, probably pretty important to traders. So if we were going to be like laser beam focused on a trade location, I'm liking the idea that this bots its way out. We come back down into the bottom of the channel, Mountain Man, or against this original structure. What's really interesting is this one candle right here actually, I think, is the actual tell of the bull market, where that they broke it out, dumped it. No, this is not a bear. Get your ass out of there, and then just ripped it higher. So that's actually the bottom. So it's fascinating how Mountain Man, the bottom, ABCDs, bottom of this channel. I'm starting to see a lot of confluence down there. So, if you see like prolonged selling and weakness out of things like tech stocks and stuff like that, it may not be that this thing's going out of business and it's crappy. It's just the whole damn market is just coming off here. Think as systemic risk. What I'm a little worried about, and don't chase. So somebody was posting this chart going, DeFi is awesome. DeFi is awesome. And okay, fine. DeFi is awesome. But, any TRIer should look at this and go, okay, well, I can see, sure looks like the W came in right here. Bang, right? Down, up, down, breakout. I mean, hell, if you're really slick, you got in down here. But those are just like the really smarty smarts. Let's just, for argument's sake, hey, here was your pivot here, and I'm starting to buy through here because that Beamish guy says W's are okay. Okay, well, where does that take us now? I mean, the irony of it all is I haven't even drawn the reload zone off the original bottom. It's actually down there, isn't it? So there's the image right there of this DeFi name. You tell me, as a guy like Brian, who's been at this game a while, am I going to suggest maybe this is a good place to go and risk your hard-earned money? Maybe I'll leave that image with you. I'm not telling you what to buy or sell. Not. Don't really care. But frankly speaking, there's no way in hell I could ever go and buy that. Just couldn't do it. Oh, this may be the next best thing since sliced bread. It might. But I tell you, actually from a trader's perspective, I actually really like the idea of a nice short right up in there. So we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. You want to take a screenshot of that? Somebody remind me next weekend. Let's go see what happened. This has got trouble written all over as far as I'm concerned. So, anyway. Okay, I'm going to leave the rant at that. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. Understand 2020. Nutso. I so love that pivot there coming up in November. So think Crypto Cobain. When is he stepping in on crypto and buying? Usually when everybody else is dying 1,000 deaths. I doubt the guy will ever watch my silly offerings. But pretty typical, the crypto OGers. They actually force themselves to come in and buy when everybody else in the public is getting absolutely destroyed. And, you want to make money from trading in this kind of crazy game. That's what you're going to have to learn. Right? Can you build a plan to set yourself up to do that? We're here to help if you'd like. But, of course, I can't, spend your money for you. So you got to build the plan. You got to follow the plan. You got to hold yourself to account. Did I follow the plan? And that's really the hard part of this, is there isn't anybody sitting over your shoulder, right? Anyway. Okay, I better shut the hell up, man. I just keep blabbing away here. Okay. Have yourselves a great day. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring Colleen's bell. Check out our little offer page there. If the school program feels amicable, maybe give us a consider. Got that 30-day trial, so hell, you can just sit and ride on our coattails for the next month, and then maybe what that'll do is you'll be like, you know what, I feel like I got some good value out of this, and I see what they're talking about, so maybe I'll think about registering for the new year. Who knows? Okay, everybody, have yourselves a great day. Wish me luck with the boy. Always a challenge. All the best, and bye for now.